What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ today. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my sixth video in the Keys to Success series. We're going to be talking about the young secondary that the New York Jets have entering the 2021 season. If you look at the roster right now, there are 14 players that are 25 years of age or younger in the secondary. So that includes cornerbacks and safeties. It's going to be up to our coaching staff to get the absolute most out of these players. And if they do, we're going to have a lot of success this upcoming season. Let's get after it. Before we get into the video, I just want to share a couple of announcements. The biggest one being that I'm going to interview Jets legendary safety, Victor Green. He is a part of the all-time Jets football team. If you don't know who he is, go ahead and do a little bit of research on Victor Green, but he is an undrafted player that rose to being a great football player and a great Jet. He played 9 seasons with the New York Jets, and I am just thrilled to be having him. And he is excited too. I've been talking with him in the DMs on Twitter. So just super excited to have him on the channel. And if you guys are excited too, go ahead and send me your mailbag questions to the email that's on the screen, nyjtoday@gmail.com. I'm going to be asking him your questions, and I think it would be really cool. I think he's excited to interact with you guys. So go ahead and send me your questions and your comments, and I will be reading them to him. The last big announcement is that we are going to be doing a giveaway, a free signed Wayne Corbett mini helmet. We're going to give that away on September 1st once we reach 1,000 subscribers on the channel. So if you have not hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so. Support the channel. And again, I hope you guys enjoy the channel. It's our way of thanking you. One of the hottest topics this offseason amongst Jets fans online, on Twitter, on Instagram, and any social media platform for that matter, one of the biggest topics that Jets fans have been discussing has been the need for a veteran presence in the secondary. And I will admit to you that I still believe that it would be beneficial if the New York Jets were to add a veteran to the cornerback room specifically, because we do have LaMarcus Joyner at safety. We do have Marcus May at safety. So those are 2 veterans that we already have at the safety position. But the thing that we keep hearing from the Jets and Robert Saleh specifically is that, he believes that the best way to give these young players, what they need to develop is playing time and to get them on the practice field, to give them reps, and also to just give them actual game experience. So one of the things that Jets fans are not really used to is the mindset of if you're young and you're talented, you're going to be playing and you're going to be expected to produce on this football team. And I think that it's something that even I need to kind of wrap my head around the thought that we may not be signing a veteran cornerback like Richard Sherman, like Steve Nelson to this football team. And, earlier on in the offseason, I thought that it was almost impossible that we would go into the season with the players that we have at cornerback. But the more and more that I think about it and the more that I wrap my mind around it, I actually really love the approach. And one of the reasons why I love this approach of keeping these cornerbacks, playing prominent roles on the defense is because our pass rush, we've talked about it a lot on the channel and I've mentioned it a lot in videos. I believe this pass rush is going to be very, very special this year. And I believe we already have a top 10, top 5 defensive line in the National Football League. We have Carl Lawson, we have Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, Jonathan Franklin Myers. The names go on and on and on. There's a ton of people on the defensive line that are going to make an impact when pass rushing. And so when you factor that in, you have to consider that if the pass rush is, getting home, the secondary, their jobs are going to be much easier than if they had a pass rush where we were blitzing all the time and, losing players that could, be in coverage. So long story short, this approach that the Jets are taking to playing these young players is something that I wasn't really prepared for, I guess is the best way to put it. But I'm starting to, wrap my head around it. And I really do think that it could be a strategy that could pay off, in the long run. So for anybody that doesn't know or doesn't realize, I am an actual teacher. I teach elementary school. That's my job during the day. And so why am I mentioning that? Well, the connection here is that Jeff Ulbrich is the defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. And part of being a great coach, not just head coaches, it could be defensive coordinators, position coaches, it doesn't really matter. If you're going to be a great head coach, you need to be able to teach. You need to be able to communicate. You need to get the trust of the players. So as a teacher, me personally, that's one of the first things I look to do is to earn the trust of my students. And so, of course, he probably knows X's and O's, from forwards, backwards, any direction. But if he cannot connect to these players and if he cannot teach them appropriately and get them to understand what he wants them to do, when he wants them to do it, and so on, then these young players are going to struggle. And so the hope here is that this guy knows how to do that job and how to connect with these players. The first two players that I want to make mention of have to be Ashton Davis, safety out of Cal, and cornerback Bryce Hall out of UVA. These are two players that Joe Douglas drafted in the 2020 draft. And so when you're talking about a young secondary with a bunch of rookies, you really need to count on some of your second-year players, and your third-year players and fourth-year players and so on. You need to count on some of these guys to kind of take on bigger roles. I don't know if it's likely that Ashton Davis ends up being a starter week 1, but that does not mean that he cannot have a role on the defense and contribute. I think people don't realize that. Most plays, LaMarcus Joyner and Marcus May, I believe will be out there. I think they are the 1-2 combination as far as safeties go. But there's not always going to be just two safeties on the field. Ashton Davis is a versatile dude. When they drafted him out of Cal, the expectation is that he could do a little bit of everything. He can move around and he can play a versatile role on a defense. So don't count out Ashton Davis just because he might not end up being a starter. I think it's very, very important that he turns into a role player on this defense and becomes a contributor. And then Bryce Hall, who we just did a film breakdown on our last podcast. And if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and look up episode 23. We did a film breakdown with James Wighouse from Jets X Factor. He thinks very highly of him. And I think that the ceiling, is quite high for Bryce Hall. I think he could become a very, very good cornerback too on a football team that has a good pass rush like the New York Jets. So all in all, I just want to start with these two players because they are both still very, very young and they still have a lot to learn, but they're very talented. And again, they are not rookies. So got to start with some players that have some experience. So some of the cornerbacks that people are really excited about that are young and talented are the guys that are on this screen. Cornerback Javelin Guidry out of Utah, Brandon Eccles, the cornerback from Kentucky. We also have Michael Carter, the second from Duke. We also have Jason Pinnock, the 5th-round cornerback from Pitt. And then undrafted free agent Isaiah Dunn from Oregon State. That guy actually is the one that I keep reading about online that's making the most plays at OTAs and mini camps. So, it's not likely that he becomes like a superstar cornerback or anything like that, but there's a lot of belief that this guy not only is going to potentially make the football team, but he's going to have a role on the defense. So it's pretty exciting to know that we have so many options on defense. Javelin Guidry at slot cornerback forced 4 fumbles last season. Michael Carter the second, Brandon Eccles. I think these guys are all going to be competing like hell to have a shot and to have a role on this defense and to play early in the 2021 season. Jason Pinnock, if he performs and if he does a nice job on the outside, I really think he has a shot to be a starter early in the season. So, I didn't mention Blisson Austin. He's a guy that, under the right coaching, I think he can improve and can become a good player on this football team, but it's just going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. Let me know who you guys are most excited about. Of all of the young rookies, all of the second-year players, who are you most interested in? Who do you believe in the most to really perform well in the secondary in 2021? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching NYJ Today. Guys, if you could do me a favor and jet up the like button on this video, and if you're new here and you've enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate the support that you guys have given us. Don't forget to leave a mailbag question for legendary Jet safety Victor Green, and leave us a voicemail for our upcoming podcast this Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching. Go Jets, and I'll see you guys next time.